Okay, so I think we are online on YouTube now.
Yes, I just got the notification.
Okay, perfect. Very good. Well, here we are.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, we're good to go. Go ahead.
All
Start us
right.
out.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of the Truth, Power, and Perspectives podcast. Today is June the 6th. Um, So yeah, we did try to uh give our listeners some time to tune into the podcast. Definitely check out our socials. We'll mention those at the end of the podcast and try to get those in the description box after the podcast is over. So the name of our episode is fraud, travel bans, and billionaires.
Yes, indeed.
Um, and we have a full list of things that is going on right now. So, at the sound of my voice, we will count to three, and then you will share out our stream so that other people can be made aware of um, our voices, our perspectives, and um, definitely we invite you all to mention us on X, get down in the comments, ask a few questions. We will definitely try to just address those questions during the stream.
Yep, very good. Yeah, everyone
Uh,
join in and be part of the conversation. We encourage it.
okay, Jay. So how have you been since our last stream?
Pretty good. Just been a busy work week. That's how it goes. No complaints. What about you, Big Papa? What's going on with you? How you been since our last stream of consciousness?
I have been well. Just dealing with some health issues on my end, but overall, I'm doing well, and I'm excited for tonight's conversation.
Yes, indeed. Very good. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're doing well, all things considered.
Okay, so let's get started. So, happy Pride Month to the gays. Um, we have seen a lot of different celebrations around the country for the month of June. The month of June is also Men's Mental Health Month. So, as Jay and I encourage and preach on our platforms, that mental health, getting your mental health checked, is always the most important. And try to reach out to your doctor. There's plenty of different organizations out right now that you can use those platforms to get the assistance that you need out here, men and women. All right.
Yep.
So I think the if we want to start off with the fraud, since that was the first thing um that we listed there, we can
Yeah.
do that. So
Okay.
as you all know, we are North Carolina based, so we do have to drop some North Carolina tea. And we tapped into it a little bit in the last episode regarding these PPP loans.
Hmm.
So what's going on is there is a pastor. His name is Mitchell Summerfield. He's 45 of the church's Word of God Fellowship Church
Hmm.
on Rock Quarry Road. So he pleaded guilty Tuesday, May the 27th, to conspiracy to commit bank fraud and wire fraud. Prosecutors say he fraudulently obtained over $400,000 in PPP and EIDL relief funds meant to support small businesses during the pandemic. According to federal documents, Summerfield submitted fake tax records and made up income statements under several business names, including Winning Ways, KHS Investments, and Vision and Destiny. Investigators say none of the businesses were real, and the only quote unquote vision was cashing out on taxpayer funds. The fraudulent activity took place between July 2020 and July 2021, while Summerfield was still actively preaching to his congregation. While churches were surviving COVID 19, prosecutors say Summerfield was finessing the system. Now the pastor is facing up to 30 years in federal prison,
Mm.
a $1 million fine, and 5 years of supervised release. He will also be required to pay restitution, with the amount to be determined by the court. The Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, and Economic Injury Disaster Loan (EIDL) programs were created under the CARES Act to help businesses survive the pandemic. But for Pastor Summerfield, they were allegedly used for personal gain. So I say this, I read this to say this, y'all. If you think that they're not coming for you because you want to take money and create fake businesses, this is not the administration that you want to play games with. Okay? They are waiting on you, and they're waiting to pull the plug to locate these businesses. I believe that, Jay and I both, we definitely had tough remarks about the PPP loan and the EIDL loans, because we didn't see these big dollars compared to all of these other companies. Actually, we had to do a lot of different steps to even get our money. So I just find it very interesting that these same ones that sit behind the pulpit, they're ahead of your church. And while you are scraping the pennies in the bottom corner of your purse to pay your 10%, the same man is turning around and frauding the government. Jay, your opinion?
They are the ones that's at the top taking as much as they can, and the people at the bottom suffer the most. So yeah, I agree 100% with that. And like you were saying, uh, we have legitimate businesses and weren't able to get anywhere as much money as some of these quote unquote fraudulent ones that were just created in the same year. So it just kind of blows my mind how that was allowed to happen.
Right, right. Um, and so I do applaud any of those investigations into the um fraud and um false information that they have put in. I get everybody trying to get in where they fit in when that whole situation was going down during the pandemic. However, not being truthful, you will have to pay. You can't continue to bite the hand that feeds you and think that think that they aren't going to get their lick back. So I just found that whole case to be interesting. And I'm sure as time goes on, we will continue to see more stories like this one where leaders in the community have committed fraud and thought they were going to get away with it. So, um, on to our next topic. Um, so our next topic is about the travel ban. Have you heard anything about this, Jay?
Yeah, I looked a little bit into that. Um, I saw that this was kind of a reaction to the terrorist attack that happened. Um,
Mhm.
but, you know, I think there's more to it. I think it was just another excuse for the administration to, um, what do you say, just not allow certain people into the country. I think they're just using that as a false flag because, interestingly enough, the country that that guy was from was Egypt, and that wasn't on the ban list.
Right.
I
I
found that
think I
interesting.
think Trump was saying that Egypt was a beautiful country and he loved it and he wouldn't ban Egypt. But just for you girlies who like to go, out of the country and, flex flex that you went out the country, just know that there is 12 countries on that list for that travel ban, which is Afghanistan, um, Myanmar, Chad, Congo Republic, uh, Equatorial Guinea, um Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. So I would definitely make sure that on your travels you are um aware of travel bans that will occur. I believe that starts June the 9th. So, yeah, just keep track of the travel ban because if your president decides to wake up and say, I hate a country this day, please be prepared on how you are planning to navigate to get yourself back into the country. Those U.S. passports, yes, they are strong. Yes, a lot of countries will let us in. However, I would definitely be cautious with a plan B if you do decide to leave the country.
Between May 2024 and April 2025, I got these numbers here from CNN.
Hmm.
Uh, from Afghanistan, there's a total of 37,000 plus immigrant and non immigrant visas in the US. 23,000 from Iran, 15,000 from Myanmar, 14,000 from Yemen, 13,000 from Haiti, 8,000 from Sudan, 4,000 from Libya, poor Libya, 3,000 from Somalia, 2,000 from Eritrea, 2,100 from Republic of Congo, 1,600 from Chad, and 754 from Equatorial Guinea. So just to
Okay.
apply some numbers to that, that's how many visas were issued over the last, let's just say, year, from
Mm,
24 to 25, from the countries that are on the travel ban list to go in sync with what you were just saying about if you make plans, just know how that works out to anyone that's traveling.
yes. Yeah. And so speaking of let's see here. Speaking of traveling within the United States, in the news, as we all know, that there has been a lot of cuts to um, different government jobs, which includes the national parks. So, rangers, the people who go around and clean up the bathrooms, the people who go around and clean up the trash, all of those employees have been lowered. So now you have less people working in those positions, and there has been a noticeable wait period to go to different national parks like the Grand Canyon, um, uh, y- uh, I'm sorry, Yellowstone, and I said it yesterday. Is it Yosemite? Oh,
Yosemite.
Yosemite.
Yeah.
Yosemite. Yes, Yosemite Parks. So I saw that it was cars pulling in the wait line to go into the Grand Canyon. They families were sitting in their vehicles for over an hour and a half just to get into the Grand Canyon area where they can walk around. Normally, when they did have the appropriate staff, there were people there to allow people to park. There were park rangers that would take people on hikes to see different parts of the Grand Canyon, other national parks. If they had any questions, they could ask a park ranger, and they would get the type of assistance that they need. So when you are planning trips, it is officially summer, and I know y'all kids are out and about, and you want to keep them busy. Check on your national parks to make sure that that is a trip that you want to take, and that is a weight that you want to deal with when going to visit these national parks in America. Have you
Yeah.
visited any of those national parks before, Jay?
No, I haven't. No, I'm not. I've only
Yeah.
been to just like the state parks that we have here in North Carolina, which are like in the mountains, and I mean they're all over the place. But yeah, so I haven't been to any national parks. No, not that I know of. No,
Yeah.
if it was a national park, I wasn't aware of it. But yeah, so it is unfortunate that with the effect of the layoffs, mass layoffs, that this is an effect of what of that where now you see that it's affecting people who go to these parks and stuff. So all of that happened kind of in the winter months, but like you said, now that it's summertime and people are outside really wanting to
Mhm.
experience these different parks and bring their children and stuff and just do summer things, um,
Mhm.
they're finding out now. Oh, those people really made a difference, huh? Yeah.
Mm, right,
But that's
and
one of
not
those
just only that. I
FAFOs.
mean, the bathrooms. Some of the bathrooms were shut down, and I can only imagine when you have children who need to use the bathroom, and imagine the line to go to the bathroom, and then nobody is cleaning them up regularly because there's nobody to actually do that till the end of the day. So, all of those things you have to take into account when
Hmm.
visiting these national parks, especially if you want to go off the beaten path. And let's just say an incident happens and you need a park ranger to quote unquote save you. That is gonna be pretty hard to do when there's not extra rangers just hanging around.
Yeah.
Um, so I do hope that if you do go out to these national parks, you guys, that you enjoy your trip, and I would just say be patient with these people because it's only a handful of them in order to assist you,
Yeah. Just
or go somewhere else.
right. Adjust your expectations. I mean,
Okay.
really do that anywhere you go nowadays. To be honest with you, but
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and so I guess that could lead into our next topic here, which is um we can talk about Job Corps since that was a part of the cuts as well.
hmm.
Uh so um so Basically, the Trump administration is suspending operations at most job corps centers by June 30th, 2025, due to significant financial issues and program shortcomings. This decision will affect thousands of students and staff across the country. The Labor Department cited a large deficit, high incidence of serious incidents, and low graduation rates as reasons for the suspension.
Mm,
The financial issues was the Job Corps program faced a $140 million deficit in I guess that's FICO year 2024, and is projected to reach 213 million in 2025. So the Department of Labor cited low graduation rates around 38% and high costs per participant, 80,000 compared to the average post separation wage $16,695 as issued. Safety concerns, the program also experienced a significant number of serious incidents, including sexual harassment, assaults, and acts of violence. So, just to give y'all a little tidbit about me, I did um attend Job Corps. So I went to the Kittrell location. I My trade was to become a CNA, a certified nursing assistant one, which required me to go to classes. Then I had to go to an actual college to take classes, and then from there you have to take a state test and pass it to get your actual CNA license here in North Carolina. So I was able to do that. From there, I was able to through Job Corps work on my resume, start applying for jobs. I did get two different interviews, and eventually that landed me at a job in the town that I live in at the local hospital, which I enjoyed until unfortunately the passing of my father. And from there, I did have, a career change. What I will say is that um, at my time being there as a Job Corps student, I could see where there was low graduation rates, but that is simply due to some of the kids that go there, they don't have a high school diploma, so they have to go through the steps to get their high school diploma, which that takes time. So it's not I mean, if you're a motivated person who wants to uh push yourself forward, I think that within 3 to 6 months you could probably get your high school diploma. And then from there you would enter into your trade program. And so if your trade program was pretty intense, it had a long list of things for you to get from 0% to 100%. So that program can last 6 to 8 months for you to get certified with all the certifications that you would need to apply to a job. From there, if you showed that you wanted to exceed past what your trade that you got there with, they did have a program to continue you on to go to the community college that's in the area, or they would send you to a different Job Corps center that was doing advanced programs. So in my situation, because I got my CNA degree, I mean my CNA certification, I would get a job and live on campus until I was able to start my LPN. And from that point, they would send me off to a different Job Corps center, and I would go through those same steps to become an LPN with the students there. The issue with violence going on. The children that do come to Job Corps, you have to understand that there's a huge age gap. There's 14, 15-year olds there up to, I think, like 25 or 23, something like that. So I can imagine sexual assault situations going on because there's a lot of places for children to get behind buildings and do things they ain't got no business doing. Also, younger girls dating older boys, which shouldn't happen on campus. But I can also say it wasn't enough staff to watch every single child and what they do. However, um when sexual assault incidents happen, or when a girl may say that she got taken advantage of, there was police on campus that would, address the situation as well. So as far as the graduation rates, you're looking at someone being there between a year to a year and a half to get their high school diploma and just get to the point where they can get a job. Yes, I think the salaries are pretty low. However, at other job corps centers, there's cosmetology, there's all of these other things that you can do that will pay you more in a salary range, you know. So I am thankful that I went through job corps because I learned a lot while I was there. But I do think that I feel sad for the children who got into Job Corps and they are homeless, and Job Corps was their only way to have a roof over their head. And now they're being displaced. And I've seen some colleges reaching out to Job Corps students to ask them to come to their campus, but I would say just the downfall for me would be all the children that I knew of. And there were a handful of students there at the job corps that I went to that was homeless. On Thanksgiving break, they would stay there. Christmas break, they would stay there. Summer break, they would stay there. So, unfortunately, some of those children are getting displaced, but I understand how you're putting in so much money and prices are going up. So the government's going to have to spend more money on these children, feeding them 3 meals a day, you know, and staffing them and washing their clothes for free, and taking them on activities and all of that stuff every single day. Yeah, it's a lot of money to put in for children to either play around and get kicked out because they're fighting each other, or they are playing around and just want to stick it out at Job Corps for 3 4 years and not move on. So I think there's a handful of issues, but I think that for the people who took advantage of Job Corps and what it could possibly push your future forward, it was a great program for that. But it wasn't a great program to push people forward and make them take their classes, make them, go to school and do what they need to do. Because honestly, it was self paced.
No, I hear you, and I I remember your time at Job Corps as well, um, and like the stories you would tell me about the things that would be going on. Uh,
Yeah.
so that being said, I do think that the program needed change. Um, of course, I don't know exactly how that would work. And to your point, yeah,
Hmm.
everything's more expensive now. Uh, but if you were serious and focused, which it sounds like it was a really hard environment to be focused in, even
Yeah.
if you really wanted to. So that being said, even if you buckle down and took advantage of it, it sounds like you could have come in better than when you went out, or sorry, go out better than how you came in. Uh,
Mhm.
but yeah, it did sound like the program needed some kind of changes. Now, I think it was wrong that the kids got, or the students got evicted the way that they did, which,
Mhm.
in my opinion, that goes back to our black legal class. Where the fuck are you all? How is that something that could just go down like that? And you have, I know, we're talking about, I'm getting into the realm of real estate right now. Uh,
Mhm.
you can't just evict people without notice. These people literally got no notice and are out on the street, with some of them that have no arrangements. Like some of the ones that shut down the moment they got word. Like,
Right.
I mean, that in itself, I think they have some kind of lawsuit against who who's somebody. Like,
Right.
you just you ain't get no notice, no nothing. You just got kicked out. And like you said, you have some of those students that's where they stayed at on summer, winter, holiday breaks, because they had nowhere else to go. So how do you manage to do that to people and not think that there's going to be any consequence? But again, they know exactly who they can do this to. They know that these people don't have the resources or perhaps the knowledge that they can go and get some kind of representation and fight against what happened to them, because these
Mhm.
people are just focused on, at this point, keeping a roof over their head, right? So they're not thinking about that. So they know exactly who to do this to and who not to
Mhm.
do this to. That's my point. And it's really disgusting. Again, I keep talking about this. Our black legal class has just completely failed the black community. This is,
Mhm.
in my opinion, a very clear cut case of, it should be very simple. Uh, like I said, you go into the realm of real estate, you can't just evict people or kick people out of their living situation without any kind of notice like that. But
Right.
it seems like they just do it all willis nillis, and they say, well, these people don't have any defense. I guarantee you one thing: these other groups of people that we talk about,
Mhm.
like the J's and the A's,
Mhm.
that couldn't be them. Let them be in some kind of situation like that where they have their a good group amount of their people that are the ones mostly affected by something like this, and they got kicked out. I guarantee you their people will be in some courtroom litigating on their behalf. But again, our black legal class is just non-existent because they're too busy looking for their next come up, I think. So, you know, unless
I
it's something
understand.
like
I will say that the I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
no, go
off.
ahead.
I will say that the population of children, at least at my center that I went to, it was, I would say, 90% African American um students were there, and then the other percent would have been Hispanic, white, and it wasn't any Asians, but Hispanic and white was the other 10%. But the rest of the facility was African American.
Yeah, I mean that's it. So they it's just part of the course. It's part of the course. They
Mhm.
know that we don't have a true legal class that can represent us, that can fight for us, because they're too busy worrying about nonsense, or they're too busy just chasing after ambulances to really stand up in a court and fight and say this is wrong. You all violated these people's rights, and they need to be compensated for that, which goes back to our justice claim for reparations. um,
Mhm.
you know
Mhm.
Again, if we had a true black legal class like these other communities do, that
Mhm.
constantly get um, repair,
Mhm.
uh,
Mhm.
but again, when it comes to us, it's just it doesn't exist. So I just think that's part of a bigger problem that we have in this as Black people in this country. And
Okay.
interestingly enough, it doesn't seem like legal was one of the routes that they offered for uh, Job Corps students. It, it was just they put you in the types of programs they wanted to put you in. I'll just leave it at that.
All right. And I mean, so now y'all have these upset teenagers to early age adults out here that don't have no place to go, and they're just out. And most of these job corps facilities were in the city. I mean, the one that I went to was in the country, but most job corps centers are in the city. So you just have these kids running around, and where do you think that's going to lead them to? It's going to lead them to crime because there's nowhere for them to go.
Yeah, no, it is gonna. Yeah, I sadly think that a lot of the students affected are gonna go down a path that they would prefer not to go, or perhaps don't have any other choice but to go down because of the situation that was just put on them.
All right.
Which again, that
I
helps the prison industrial complex.
Yeah. I mean, as far as I have been seeing, a lot of the people that I went to Job Corps with, they have been posting their RFP Job Corps stories, and a lot of their stories are a reflection of how thankful and grateful that they were to be in a program like Job Corps. And a lot of those stories from the people that I'm friends with all said the same thing, that they wish that they would have stayed longer and really excelled in going further into the program, which is like I was saying, I got my certification, but the next step would have been LPN, school. And having a program like Job Corps to help you pay for school is one of the major benefits of the program. So now that's another portion of, the black race is missing out on having our future LPNs, RNs, electricians. Um I think they just had a handful of things. The woodsmen, all of those different type of trades that we don't think about.
Hmm.
They're missing out on black talent because the black talent was in Job Corps. So I'm gonna send my prayers out to those students who are there, and especially the students that had children. So yeah, we just hope that you all can find some type of shelter. Please reach out, look on Facebook. I have been seeing some people are housing Job Corps students. So reach out to your local sources and see if there's any way that you can find some type of housing.
You damn black churches, where are y'all at? Y'all need to be reaching out, helping these people right now too. Y'all have a lot of resources. You can start having classes. You can pick up the slack where programs like this and more that are on the way to come that are going to be falling apart. The black church needs to step the fuck up, and I mean that. Y'all take money. Y'all sit up there. You have your pastor pork chops pimping up everything, taking money left and right, and ain't putting nothing back up into the community. And y'all sit there and go
Mhm.
to that place every damn Sunday. Y'all need to be getting something out of that besides feeling good. I'm sorry. Hold these people accountable. Damn it.
Okay, well, we're gonna move on to our next topic since you did kind of speak about real estate. So this is I would love to know a realtor's POV since that's what you do. Did you want to tell the people, our new listeners, um, a little bit about what you do?
I am a real estate agent here in the state of North Carolina. I do pretty much all things real estate. I've been licensed for over 10 years here in the state, and I'm also in South Carolina and Georgia. So, different states, different places. Yeah, so that's just a little bit about my background. We did want to go into the situation with the market. Um,
Yeah. Hmm.
there's a report that states more homes are available than buyers. Uh, my thoughts are the effect of a few things. You have, uh, yes, a lot of homes on the market for sale, more than a year ago. But the other thing that you do have are higher interest rates. The interest rates are really making a huge impact on what people are able to purchase. So, what I've come to notice, at least here in the Charlotte market where I'm at, the builders are offering tons of incentives to help buyers lower their points so that their rates aren't as high as they were if they were to purchase a resale home, meaning one that uh, someone is trying to sell. Like you lived in a house and now you're trying to sell it. That's what we call a resale home. So for those, it is you do find that those tend to stay on the market longer because especially at higher price points, and when I say higher, I mean like over 500,000. That's not necessarily an entry level price point. So your first time home buyers certainly aren't looking in that price point unless they got it like that. More power to them. But on average, your first time home buyers are going to try to stay under or around 400,000. Um, when you have high interest rates, and when I say high interest rates, I'm talking like 7%, which is where we're at now. During COVID, rates were as low as 2.5 to 3%.
Hmm.
That makes a huge difference when you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. So
Hmm.
the appeal to a lot of people to have like the house that's a ranch, meaning it's all on one level and have a nice private yard. You don't really find that too much in a new construction, but you do find those in resale homes. And those
Hmm.
older homes tend to be more expensive. And when you couple that with high interest rates, that really makes it challenging for a lot of buyers to even qualify, let alone swallow what kind of payment that looks like monthly.
All
So
right.
um, that's where, as far as like I said, in this market in Charlotte for resale homes, they are selling. They are taking a little bit longer to sell. I think part of it has to do with the rates. New construction, there's a lot of things happening there. A lot of builders are being aggressive right now because they want to move those houses. Um, and they're making the kind of deals happen, at least on the finance side, to
Hmm.
do that. So they have the ability to do that versus resale is not as, they don't have that so much unless you're just coming out of pocket. And that's where, again, it comes down to how much money do you have
All
uh,
right.
to to be in this market. So um,
Well, I would say, I've heard that a lot of the homes in PG County, where a lot of governmental employees, that they are going up for sale
oh
in
well, yeah.
Maryland.
Hmm.
So that is also, very clear that along with job courts, which is a government job, that there is a handful of people maybe a load full of people who can't afford their home payment anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and they need to sell because it's going to take longer to find a job,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's going to take longer to find a job because those DEI initiatives, um if you even benefited from those, are, now these companies aren't trying to follow that status quo anymore. So, those areas where government employees would be, around DC, north of DC, south of DC, east and west of DC, you will start seeing even more homes. And I mean, I feel bad that it's a lot of that community is African American, you know.
Yeah. I do have the Axios article pulled up.
Hmm.
It says as of April 2025, Washington, D.C. has about 15,000 buyers and about 16,000 sellers. Now, compare that to Charlotte, North Carolina, where we have 9,000 buyers and 15,000 sellers. So,
Hmm.
technically, here in Charlotte, we have more sellers than buyers. And in the DC area, it's the same thing, but not as big of a difference. But still, it shows that you have a lot of people looking, or sorry, a
Hmm.
lot of people selling rather than looking. And yeah, it could be one of the things. Now I'm looking at Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. They have
Hmm.
21,000 sellers and only 7,000 buyers.
Wow.
Well, but at the same time, they're doing a lot of construction out there in Florida, so that could correlate with what I was saying earlier. With the builders are trying to make the deals, and they can do a lot of things on the finance side versus resale, where it's you got to really have the resources, and Florida would make a lot of sense for that.
Right. And so, I get it. People are thinking about, can I afford a $2,500 a month mortgage payment, you know?
Yeah,
And
that's a big pill to swallow per month on top of
mm,
living life. Yeah.
right, on top of a car note, car insurance, etc., etc., and then you got kids too. So,
You
yeah,
definitely got to
it's
have a two income
it's
household for that. I'm sorry. It's just, there's no way that a single person can
right.
do that. And that's
Yeah.
what, unfortunately, you know, talking about the black community, uh, I hate to see that our people struggle with trying to get qualified. And the part of it is because, we don't have two incomes.
Mhm.
Uh, because that really does make a difference. So, you know, just a word to the family. From what I've seen, the folks that's able to do the things that other people want to do are the ones that have a lot of money and a lot of resources and a lot of money coming in, meaning they probably got a spouse, so it's more than just one person bringing in the money. And, there's ways to do that, but the single parent thing, you wanted the less likely people to get a property, just unless you got it like that. And but I'm just on average, single parents, mm-mm, you gonna have a real hard time, real hard time.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to be discouraging. I'm just, this is
Yeah.
to be real, because a lot of people do not realize what they're up against until they try to do something, and then they realize, oh. So I would just say have a plan, like just understand what you're
Yeah.
up against, and at the very least, I tell people, look outside of the cities. I know it may not be the most convenient thing, especially if your job is at a certain place. But if your job ain't paying you enough, baby, to be where you live, to live where you work at, you need to get you something else because that job ain't worth it. It's not
All
worth you
right.
just showing up to work every day and you can't do anything else, and you're not able to save. All you're doing is making someone else rich. You're making the people at
Mm-hmm.
your job rich. You're making the people at your apartment complex richer, and all you're doing is just getting from point A to point B, and you don't even know who your kids are at the end of the day. So,
Right, and refrigerator be empty.
yep.
All you got is bread and bologna to make it till your next payday.
Mm, yeah. So,
Um,
yeah, it's yeah. uh, the single parent thing is just think twice about that, y'all. Just think twice. No disrespect.
okay, all right. Well, and I'll also say, those who are saying, well, I'll get an apartment. These apartment rates, they're climbing up too because as these companies go out of business, another company is taking on those apartment complexes, and yes, they are doing quote unquote upgrades or quote unquote remodels, slapping some paint on the wall, and changing the
Doing the
steps
old
out here and
landlord
there.
special.
Right. But you get in, and in my case, you get in at $1,400 a month. Okay, yes, I can afford that on my job. And then the next year, they're saying, "Oh no, we need $1,700 a month." You're already struggling to make your rent payment of $1,400 a month. Well, where are you gonna get $1,700 from? And then that lands you in the hood or
Mm.
somewhere that you got to constantly watch your back where you live at because that's all that you can afford.
And then if you got
So,
kids, they go. You got to think about the influence around them. There's a lot of
mhm.
cause and effect to that people really, really, I don't think they consider that, especially when they have kids. Like if you have a, let's just say a son, and they're at that 12, 13-year-old age, and you put them in this environment where they're impressionable and they're going to be around all these kinds of people, before you know it, in a matter of a couple of years, your son is one of them YNs out there, Kia boys and all that other jazz, and you like, this ain't my child, but you didn't really know your child because you've been at work for 2 damn years and trying to get by, and your child is growing up into an adult, and you don't even know who that person is no more, and it's a damn
Right.
shame.
Right. Right. So it's just a lot to think about. And this is a time where we need to get closer to our family. And I'm not saying family members who are taking advantage of you or treating you bad, or that is going to make your environment worse. But I will say that if you look hard enough, there are family members who want to work together as a team, and they understand that in order to get out of their situation that they need to save money, and the only way to save money is to be uncomfortable for a little bit. And I will say that that is the one thing that Hispanics did do when they get here, where there's 14 and 15 different cars in the driveway. But splitting your rent up 15 different ways is a whole lot less than one person shelling out everything. So I think that if you do have family members who are on the right path and that you align with, this is the time where we need to stick together and save as much as you can.
No, I agree 100%. Saving is key. Getting with like-minded people, and to your point, it may not be the most comfortable situation, but you got to hunker down and lay low for a little bit. Um, and change your situation because the status quo is not working. It's not working at all. So yeah,
And I mean, as we all know, having 20,000 down on a home is going to be a less mortgage payment than having $0 down on a home, you know?
yeah, you gotta have money to buy a house. So just think at least 5% of whatever your purchase price is. Just throwing that
Mhm.
out there, because more than likely that's going to be what your down payment is.
Mhm.
And then you have other costs associated, like your lender fees, attorney fees. There's a lot of fees involved. So, yeah, I mean, even if you were to manage to get some kind of down payment assistance, there's still money out of pocket that you still have to pay. And that's where I think a lot of people don't really understand that part either, especially now. I mean, yeah.
Right. Y'all, you got to be able to show proof of funds.
You gotta have
And the proof of
reserves. You gotta have money in the bank.
reserve.
They gotta see that you
Mhm.
got money coming into the bank. Your money can't be looking funny. That's the point. Like,
Right. And you got to have a relationship with the bank. You can't
yeah.
just show up, drop down $50,000, and then go to the bank and say, "Y'all gonna give me a house now?" No, you got to create a relationship and get to know those people, that
Hmm.
if that's really what you want to do.
Hmm.
So, I think that the right person, who is of the same race as us, who have trouble getting approved for things. It's just, we're in a time right now where you're going to have to move differently.
Yes.
You're going to have to think differently. You're going to have to save differently.
Hmm.
Sometimes you might have to tell some people, no, I can't hang out, or, can we do something else?
Hmm.
Or, just keep your head down. This is a time where you need to keep your head down, save your money, and turn the TV off
Yeah.
and just get to your bag and save as much as you can.
That's a big pop. I couldn't have said that better myself. 100%
Okay,
agree.
well, um now we are in the part of our show where we're gonna get political. So it
Oh,
is
yep,
politics
yep.
time, as so we can start with the biggest thing going on right now, which is the girls are fighting, and by girls we mean Elon and Trump. um as we know, Elon was Trump's biggest donation to becoming the president of the United States. I believe Elon donated like 300 million, something like that, to the Donald Trump campaign. And it was successful. But um, as Elon was kind of the face of the presidency for a minute there, he started to create enemies, going a part of his Doge committee, where he was able to get access to all of our social security numbers, any type of private information him and his team had access to. He also used the presidency to do a car show on the lot of on a lot of the White House. And he was able to also secure some government contracts with his SpaceX program, and all of the other programs that he has working in the background. He was able to get a lot of government contracts from this relationship with Trump. So last week we did report on the fight that happened with Elon Musk and Scott Vincent.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yes. Allegedly. And and after that occurred, there was a I guess like a last in front of the press with the president from Trump and Elon. I think Trump gave Elon either an award or something like that um in front of the media, and it turned out to be okay. The big beautiful bill was passed in the house, and it's waiting to be looked at by the Senate if it's not already right now, and things seem to be going okay. Fast forward to um I mean, last this whole week, where basically Elon Musk said that he hated the big beautiful bill, and that was due to the EV mandate that was in that bill. That um, he was going to get a certain amount of money each year to sell more of his Tesla vehicles. That part was not in the bill. And so Elon went on a hate campaign via X and True Social, where, you know, pretty much he said that he hated the bill. He wanted the bill to end. He called for Donald Trump to be impeached. He unfollowed some key Republicans. Um, some people on the back end, like Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, he tried reaching out to Elon. Elon was not answering the phone. And trying to get a meeting together with the both of them to try to make some type of piece of this brawl that they're having over the internet. So a lot of trash talk against Elon from Trump happened on the 5th of June, where he was in a meeting with the German chancellor, and basically the German chancellor was sitting there while Trump was talking crap about Elon. So it had nothing to do with the commitment that Germany needs from the US, but it had everything to do with this Elon connection. So Elon did reveal that Trump would not have won the election without him. So I don't know if that was a possible admission that there was some type of cheating going on. But Elon did make it clear of that. He also made it clear that the reason why the Epstein cases have not been made to the public, which is a huge thing that their base wanted, which was to release the Epstein files. um, Elon basically said that the reason why they're not made public yet is because Trump is listed fully throughout those files. Where, as we know, Trump was friends with Epstein. He borrowed Epstein's plane. He would go to Epstein's island on multiple occasions. They were seen on video at parties and things like that. So we already know that Trump um, is a sexual predator, from him going into the room with 14-year-old girls during when he used to run pageants, and as well as the video of him saying that he would grab women by the pee and things like that. So I believe at this point they are, um, they're just not getting along. Steve Bannon has entered the chat, and he is calling for Elon's citizenship to be investigated, his government contracts to be investigated. Anything that he has should be investigated, and to basically kick Elon out of the United States. Now, Steve Bannon, he has been 50-50 on the side of Trump and on the side of the opposition against Trump. But it seems that Steve Bannon is asking for the FBI and other government ran entities to do investigations into Elon Musk. So do you feel as though Elon Musk is changing courses because his businesses are crashing, and he was a Democrat at some point and now he needs the liberal support to back him now that he's hating Donald Trump, where people will be back to support him now that he's ran his own name through the ground? Or do you think that this is all just a ploy for the media, for them to take the attention off of the big, beautiful bill? What is your opinions on this whole situation, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a bit of a distraction, and I don't believe either one of them because if you remember, Elon, like after the House voted on it, like immediately before he got his award and before all of this, he was saying the bill can't be big and beautiful, or was something along those lines.
Mhm. Mhm.
So he was already hating on the bill. I think
Mhm.
the press even asked Trump about that, and there was, they were quote unquote on good terms still at that point in time. So, the world's a stage, right? As the saying goes. I think this is just another example of it.
Mhm.
You did bring up something I wanted to talk about, though, when you were talking about Trump's meeting with the German chancellor.
Mhm.
Um, this was part of that whole situation with Ukraine and Russia, um, where Europe wants to bring America into this crappy situation. And it's like, what's going on with Europe? Why does Europe want to keep fighting Russia?
Mhm. Mhm.
I mean, didn't didn't they learn already that Russia, like when Germany had the uh, the Nazis, and they tried to
Mhm.
go up against Russia, Russia whooped their ass. Well, the Soviet Union whooped their ass. So it's like, didn't y'all learn the first time? But
Mhm.
y'all want to like now bring us into it. Okay, yeah, I think they all need to kick rocks over there in Europe. If they want to fight Russia so bad, they can do it themselves. They don't need to bring America into that bad. All right, but going back
All
to
right.
Elon and Trump, yeah, they're just saber rattling. Elon definitely knew what was in that bill. He knew what was coming. He knew what was in it was not going to be in it. That's why he said what he said earlier. Why he stood up there and still played around with Trump was because he wanted to get his thoughts in with Cyril Ramaphosa, the South African president, and make him look
Mhm.
foolish. So Elon got what he wanted. He got to bring in them people. He got the virtue signal to his racists. So I mean, whatever, like I think it's just all they just all playing around. They all playing around. They all playing games. Trump is trying to just get attention off of what's happening in across the world with these different wars. Because there's other stuff in there. There's still funding for these wars. Still funding to Israel so they can go do whatever they do. Um, and yeah, so I just it's just a distraction. And now, as far as Tesla stock and stuff like that, and all of Elon's companies, I don't think he's trying to necessarily get back in anyone's good graces. I think he's going to do whatever he wants to do, and at some point, his companies are going to have to get rid of him, or
Mhm.
investors or whatever, because they ain't gonna continue to lose money like that. Them losing money is like losing blood, so they ain't gonna continue to let that go down the way that it's been going down.
Mhm.
Uh, So I just, yeah, I think Elon is on borrowed time with these different companies. And as far as him getting deported, I'm for that. I think he does need to go. They need to revoke his citizenship and send his ass back over to Africa. Shit.
And I know something else with SpaceX. The one of their rockets that they use to bring food and fuel and all of those things to the International Space Station, Elon had threatened that he was going to shut that rocket down and to not assist in, bringing materials to the International Space Station. But I believe Trump said that if he did do that, that he would do an investigation into SpaceX and its contracts. And Elon said that he would continue to allow the rocket to assist in bringing different resources to the International Space Station as needed.
And see, this
But
is.
go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. No, I was just gonna say this is where they don't want me to be president because yeah, I would be like I would take over all that shit. Yeah, this is gonna be NASA now.
Mm-hmm.
We're going back to the old way. Thank you for all of your contributions, sir. But we no longer need you. Okay? And now this is
Right.
ours. And as far as you coming back over here, that's going to be on privilege only. If we want you to be back over here, go ahead and pack your bags. You and all your kids, get them out of here. Straight up. But yeah, go ahead. Oh, my bad.
Oh, no, no, no. So yeah, I think that we have to think that Elon, as much as the Republicans want to take these different government benefits away from the people, we have to understand that Elon has been eating off of the government for a long time. Matter of fact, going to the government and asking them for money
Hmm.
um to run his companies.
Yeah.
So I have to keep that in mind that, like, okay, well, he's still getting money from these contracts.
Yeah.
And it, I think that Elon does have some information on Trump that hasn't been set out in public. And I think that Trump knows that. Do I think that it will get a little bit bigger? Yes. I do think that there will be more of them going back and forth. But I think that Elon knows that he has a target on his back,
Oh
and
yes.
that if all of your funding, if everything is coming from the government, all they have to do is stop payment
Yep. Shut it down.
and everything will be shut down,
Hmm.
you know. So I think that to me, on one hand, I'm like, okay, you're loving the free publicity, but on the other hand, it's like, that you can't go that far because they'll stop the funding.
Right.
And I think last month, or it was yesterday, that they had the lowest drop in the Tesla stocks from January. I don't know
Um.
how true that is, but that's what I heard.
Let me see. I can pull it up real quick. TSLA. Okay, it's let me go back one day. So it's at 295 now.
Hmm.
Yesterday the low, or sorry, this was this morning.
Hmm.
Was 283. Let me go back a little bit further. It was 277 yesterday, Thursday.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that was the low that it had. But now, I mean, if we look over the year,
Mm.
the lowest was 227 in April, but then there was also a low point in October of last year and that was at 213. And then in August of last year, it was down to 191. Actually, sorry. So June 10th last year, so almost a year
Hmm.
ago, it was at 173.
Mm,
So compared to a year ago, it's up over $100. So
yeah.
uh, in the grand scheme of things, sure, but yeah, that's just the that's how
Um,
the numbers are looking. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like at the end of the day, you still don't want to lose money. But see, this is the problem with big companies like Tesla that rely heavily on their CEO, because if something happens to the CEO or something goes on with the CEO, it affects the stock. You know,
right.
um, a lot of other companies aren't like that. A lot of strong companies, I should say, aren't like that, where the stock in the company, the success of the company is solely dependent on the actions of one person, the CEO. you know,
Right. Mm,
that's really dangerous, and you see how dangerous it can be because whatever that person does is going to be automatically associated to the business, and if people don't agree, shareholders don't agree, they can do whatever the market does. So
right.
I heard people were
Um,
shorting it yesterday and they did pretty good. So there's that.
yeah. Well, I mean, the good thing about the stock market is you can make money when it's up and you can make money when it's down.
That's big facts.
So we're gonna have to stick a pin in that because I'm sure there's more to come.
Yes.
But these are just the little jabs that they have been doing over the week. And I think us as the population, we're kind of just eating our popcorn,
Especially black
sipping our
folks.
soda.
This is good for us. All we need to do is sit back and watch the show because the Republicans are having a civil war right now. MAGA is imploding on itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest with you, Big Papa, if Kamala had won, this would not be happening. So this is good. I'll
Mm-hmm.
take this.
um. So, well, I'm glad that you did bring up Kamala because our next topic is in regards to the Biden administration. We did hear that
Lol.
Karine is it Karine or Karen? What is it? What
I
is her
want to
name?
say it's Corinne Jean Pierre. Corinne
Okay.
Jean Pierre. Or
Okay.
KJP.
Well, okay. So, KJP did announce that she is coming out with a book.
Like everyone else.
And she also said that she is changing her party to independent.
Mm.
Um, let me see here. Let me just pull up. It is expected to come out later this year. And I will read the synopsis of it. Where did it go? Let's see here. This is okay. I thought this was going to say what it was, but it basically goes over the 3 weeks before Joe Biden um, exits from the race and what's going on behind the scenes of the Biden administration up to that point.
Mm-mm-mm.
I believe that she was loyal to Joe Biden. But as we know, we do know that things behind the scenes definitely changed without it being said. I think that, as far as Kamala being a part of it, that was an issue. Having people who was on the campaign with Joe Biden who wrote a lot of demeaning things about Kamala were the same people who had to help her in her race that failed, you know, as well as some of the African American women who were hired on originally were not there. We could see that in is Samantha her name? The one that has the show on MSNBC with the old chair of the Republican Party.
Oh, you talking about Simone?
Oh, Simone. Yeah, she was hired on, right? On
Simone was
Kamala's
part
side,
of.
and
She was part of Kamala's like staff or whatever. Um,
right.
and she thought she was going to be the press secretary after Jen Psaki, but then that's when they went in the direction of Karine Jean Pierre, and after that,
Mhm.
Simone left the White House altogether to go work at MSNBC.
Right. So,
But we knew she wasn't going to be press secretary, but she thought in her bald head that she would be. But go ahead.
yeah. So, this is a book that I don't personally think I would get and
I don't
read.
think family don't buy that damn
However,
book. Don't buy that book.
huh?
Don't family don't buy Jake Tapper's book. Don't buy Karine Jean Pierre's book. And I'm gonna tell you my reasons why I don't think y'all need to buy that book because these people lied and now they want to make money. They want to make money off of their lie. That's like a dog going to clean up its vomit. All right, y'all made this mess, and now you want to sit there and be rewarded for that shit. No. Y'all don't go
Mhm.
buy this book.
Mhm.
Y'all don't go buy none of these books. Don't support none of this madness.
Yeah. I just I don't know. When I was watching Don Lemon's show, and he showed a clip of when he was at CNN interviewing her, and he asked her like, what's going on? Is he okay? And all this stuff, and she's like laughing it off and saying everything is fine and all of this stuff, and like you can just see where it's like, girl, you're lying. You lying straight
It
through your
was so
teeth, and
obvious. It was
you
obvious
know
that
you're lying.
and that's the part that's so infuriating where they insult your intelligence and act as though you're not seeing what the fuck you're seeing with your own eyes. That's the part that is so that the Democrats they don't seem to have learned that because they still do it. That's the thing. They still do this. They still are lying. They're still not being honest with people. They're still doing this same crap that got them in the position that they're in now and where they continue to lose support, you know.
Mhm.
It's just it's not going in the direction that they want it to go because they keep doing this janky stuff. And
Mhm.
now that all of this stuff is coming out with Joe Biden, it's like, yeah, we fucking knew that. Y'all ain't telling us nothing new that we didn't know already.
Right.
You just want to make it seem like you I don't know covering your bases now. I guess because the truth be told, this should be investigated. What they did was really criminal. We don't know who's using that auto pen to sign all these different things. Uh, the way that they had Joe Biden just all over the place when he was not well, that was elder abuse. That is probably far worse than elder abuse. I mean, it's so much to it that is not. Yeah, yeah. And then when you talk about like the election and how Kamala, yeah, they didn't want to work with Kamala. It's come out that Barack Obama didn't want Kamala to run. That's why it took them so long to endorse her. I mean,
Mhm.
all of this stuff. And then he had the nerve to say, "Oh, well, you brothers ain't out there repping for her like you was repping for me, nigga. You didn't even want her." So, like, again, we saw that, but then when people were trying to say that, oh, y'all are just Trump supporters. You just want Trump to win. You MAGA. You this, you that. Okay, all right, all right, all right. We this, we that. All right, then that's why y'all gonna continue to lose because y'all ain't trying to listen. You just want to do whatever you all want to do. So yeah, state of the
Right. And
Democrat
I
vote.
mean, uh, uh, I did watch an interview with Jasmine Crockett that she did a couple of months back. And she was just kind of addressing how the other thing with the whole Kamala running for president last minute was that when number one, she didn't have enough time, but number two, they were waiting too long into the presidency to start having these conversations at the barbershop, having these conversations with the black community and black leaders. You wait until it's 2 weeks before the election to start having these community conversations when really you wasn't even trying to reach out to the barbershops and the pastors and all of that stuff. You wasn't trying to reach out to them in the middle of his 4 years, so then
That's
you want to have this conversation and you want our vote.
right.
Well, that's very difficult for you to ask people for the vote when you wasn't checking for us until we started complaining.
Well, and it's not even that. Like while we were complaining, y'all kept saying, "Oh, you're wrong." You know, look at
Mhm.
look over here instead. Look at the stock market. The stock market's doing great, but we
Right.
paying all this money for food. And again, when people were trying to say that it's the economy, stupid, they were not
Mhm.
interested in hearing that. Everybody was saying that. White, black, everybody. Man, woman, everybody was saying that. Okay? So miss me with this whole nonsense about uh oh, we here for the working people and this, that, and the third. Y'all have shown that you are no different than these Republicans when it comes down to who you want to support and whose agendas y'all are trying to push. It's certainly
Right.
not your voters, that's for sure. Because your voters are the ones, and to your point, Big Papa, that's why they never did go out to the barbershops because they did they took the black vote for granted. Let's just go ahead and say it for what it is. Black folks have been voting Democrat to a fault for the last 60, 80 years. It's gotten us nothing in return. All of these other groups are able to come here and get ahead of us. And ironically, they don't even vote Democrat, those other groups. So
Mhm.
here it is, your biggest constituent, this your most reliable constituency, you pay zero attention to, you take it for granted, you when you do have power, you do nothing for them. And then when you don't have power, you're like, oh, look at these mean old Republicans and how they're not doing anything for you. Well, when y'all had the power, you didn't do anything for us either. So, you know, and even still, with the like how we talked about last week with Westmore, y'all do stuff like that, and especially in a place like Maryland where that's hugely Democratic. I mean, that should have been
Mhm.
easy. Just like in
Right.
California, where it's hugely Democratic, where they did literally the same exact thing and killed their reparations vote out there. So, again, this is just showing part of the course of how Democrats really ain't for black people. They really just not. They say they are. They need your black vote, but when it comes down to the tangibles, to actually putting something forward to you, they have proven time and time again that they just as bad as the Republicans. That if they have the opportunity to do it, they won't do it. They not going to do it, and just string you along for another decade or two, I guess. But it's not going to work because more and more black folks are realizing this, and more are leaving the party and doing like KJP and becoming independent. So uh, I would encourage more black people to follow the course of going independent. I don't think you need to be beholden to any of these parties. Don't go running over to the Republicans just because you upset at the Democrats right now, and vice versa. You, you, I, we really got to hold these politicians accountable, and by doing that, that's how we really get the change that we're looking for. Right now, we can't hold them accountable because we're not funding them. They're getting funded by these huge
Facts.
organizations that are able to get in their ears and tell them what to vote for and how to vote for things versus us who, again, we're the ones that put them there. We're telling them what our issues are, and instead of doing something about it, they have to look out for the interests of those people that gave them big donations to their campaign. So until
Hmm.
we, the people, realize that and realize and follow the damn money and say, okay, this person gets money from who? Okay, we don't need to be voting for them. This person gets money from where? Okay, we probably don't need to be voting for them. This is what we have to start doing. We have to start following the money. We can't just sit there and go, wink, wink, vote for me because I look like you. That's been the issue
Hmm.
for us for too long, and why we've gotten absolutely nothing out of these politicians.
Mm. Okay. Well, we are starting to come to the end of the episode here. And we can leave like on a light note for our North Carolinian family. There is movement in the cannabis reform here in North Carolina. We have a governor that supports the use of cannabis for adults.
That's lovely.
We also have some. What'd you say?
I said that's lovely.
Yeah, and so we have a handful of Republicans who also are working with Governor Josh Stein to create a committee to start, uh, I guess, doing research into how they can um, legalize cannabis in a way that will be safe for adults to use and to keep it out of the hands of children and you know to have safe products for us to use where we're not getting in black market products that we don't know what's in them.
Or where it came from and all that stuff. So, that's the
Right.
thing with people, consumers now, they want to know where their products come from, how they're sourced. That's more important than ever now. So yeah, that's a good thing. But
And I mean, not just only that, we are an agriculture state, you
hmm
know?
hmm
And so this will do nothing but
and yet
help our help our community.
this goes to show that that bipartisanship is a thing when it comes to money. Because truth be told, North Carolina has been losing a lot of money in tax revenue when it comes to
Hmm.
cannabis, all because they're behind with the times. So now they're realizing that and they're saying, "Oh wait, we're leaving a lot of money on the table. Maybe we need to start talking about this cannabis stuff." And now all of a sudden, the two sides that can't never do anything to get us health care or expand Medicaid or make things worthwhile in the state, they can get together on that because they know they're about to make a ton of money. So there's that.
Right. And I mean, Josh Stein, he did address as well those people who do have marijuana charges that he would work to get those harmless charges removed if cannabis is to become legal. So I think that there is some change happening. There are a handful of states that it is legal in those states where they are taking advantage, and I think that, like I said, North Carolina's an agricultural state,
Mm-hmm.
and there are a lot of people out here who would love to be able to use cannabis, and that opens up a whole new job market
Hmm.
um, for uh, different subsets of people.
Yeah, yeah,
So we'll have to, keep our eye on any updates with that.
for sure, for sure. Yeah,
Um,
we'll keep our eyes on that for sure.
so yeah, that is our last topic for the show today. We thank you all for sticking around for about an hour and a half with us.
Yes, thank you for listening. Thank you so much.
Uh, so we want, if you are listening to us on YouTube, we want you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and turn on your notification bell so you can be made aware when we make posts. We are also streaming from X. If you are not following our TPP page on X, then we want you to go ahead and follow us
Yes,
on
please.
X. We are also on Instagram at official underscore TPP underscore podcast. Definitely give us a follow on TikTok at TPP underscore podcast. We are working on our Facebook page, but that is up, so you can follow the page. There hasn't been any posts and things like that, but the page is available if you do want to give that page a follow. So Jay and I will, we definitely try to do at least one podcast a week, updating everyone on the events that happen on the week and our opinions on those. If you want to follow me after you are done following all of our TPP pages, you can definitely follow me on TikTok at Mimi the Great. And there's an underscore after. You can follow me on Instagram, Mimi the Great, X, Mimi the Great. Follow me on those three pages, and you should get some updates about, me personally. But as far as the podcast, definitely follow those socials so you can be aware when we live stream the podcast.
For sure, for sure.
Jay,
And I'm
did you want to drop
available
your stuff?
on, yeah, I'm available on X Space here, JCJ08 stuff, Instagram. Uh, oh yeah, I have the TikTok thing too. J Star. Yeah. But yeah, just mainly follow the podcast. That's the main thing.
Yep, follow the podcast. All right. Well, until next time.
Yes. Till next time.
All
Have a
right.
good night.
Bye. Have a
Bye.
good night. Bye.